Hello, everyone, and thanks so much for joining this very special Parkinson's Awareness Month webinar, Parkinson's Awareness Month, a story of empowerment through music. I'm Donna Greening, Parkinson Canada's Education and Program Innovation Coordinator, and with me today is Bryce Perry, our Associate Director of Community Outreach and Engagement. From coast to coast, Parkinson Canada acknowledges the ancestral and unceded territories of Inuit, Métis, and First Nations peoples. To access closed captioning, click on the CC Captions button and then click on Show Subtitle. Please submit any questions you have for our guests by typing them into the Q&A window found at the bottom of your webinar window. This will help us monitor them more effectively. Please avoid using the chat window to submit your questions. Feel free to use the chat window to say hello or talk amongst yourselves. When the webinar ends, please take a moment to fill out our survey, which we use to evaluate our programming, ensuring we deliver content that's relevant to the Parkinson's community. Canadian band Martha and the Muffins formed in 1977 and became a household name in 1980 when their song Echo Beach reached worldwide audiences. Since then, the band, as well as founding members and partners Martha Johnson and Mark Gane individually, have been busy releasing new music, including a children's album, scoring Canadian movies and TV series, and so much more. Martha was diagnosed with Parkinson's in 2000, and although she doesn't perform live anymore, she now concentrates on Martha and the Muffins reissues and new releases, and collaborating with younger singers and songwriters. Recently, and at the suggestion of her neurologist, she embarked on a musical collaboration with several other people living with Parkinson's, resulting in a stirring song about living with Parkinson's called Slow Emotion. Their story is a testament to the strength, patience, and resilience of the Parkinson's community, and to the personal growth and beauty that can be experienced if you're brave enough to step outside of your comfort zone. And now, our President and CEO, Dr. Karen Lee, would like to say a few words.
Thank you, Donna. People with Parkinson's are at the heart of everything we do. That's why throughout this event, you'll be hearing stories from them all about their journey with the disease and how they found ways to navigate the challenges that come alongside it. At Parkinson Canada, we are dedicated to improving the lives of more than 100,000 people who live with Parkinson's in Canada. We provide information, support groups, and mentoring to people living with Parkinson's. We have also invested millions of dollars in research that explores ways to reduce the risk of Parkinson's, as well as looking into new treatments that could potentially stop or slow down the disease. Finally, we advocate for voices of people living with Parkinson's to be heard at the federal and provincial levels of government, so that their experiences are considered when policy is being shaped. Today, you'll be hearing the voices of people living with Parkinson's who work together to achieve an incredible goal. As with many projects, it is less about the destination than it is about the journey, the meaning and collaboration along the way. I had the fortunate opportunity to first meet one of the members of this project about this time last year. His name is Brian Anthony. Brian wrote a first person's piece in the Globe and Mail about living with Parkinson's and how he decided to pursue a new hobby, and that was boxing. When I read this article, I was incredibly fascinated and in awe of his new pursuit that I reached out and visited him at one of his boxing sessions. It was through that interaction where I learned about his possibilities of how even with Parkinson's, it is still possible. He also shared with me about another project he was working on, which is why we are here today, the singing project with Martha and the company. It is the people we interact with and the passion we all share that makes all the difference. We hear all the time that many people who face diagnosis of Parkinson's spend a few years in hiding or not sharing. But at Parkinson Canada, our mission is bold and unwavering: to really reclaim the narrative of living with Parkinson's, to inject vibrance into veins where others see only stillness. We encourage others to see a diagnosis not as a dimming of light, but a spark for a new beginning, a life rich with purpose and passion. We are incredibly honored to be here today and to be only slightly associated with this project, but really wanting to share it with the community. So thank you to everyone involved.
Good morning, everyone. As Karen just said, I am honored to be here as well. I had the privilege of meeting most of who you're going to meet today, and have to honestly say, as a person living with Parkinson's, not only inspired by the journey and the process that went into what you're going to see today and hear about today. It just provided me hope that there, with a diagnosis with Parkinson's, that you can still do new things. You can still do things that you've loved to do, and even do things where help you step outside your comfort zone. So it's quite amazing to me. Once Martha and Fabio finished writing the song, Martha knew that she wanted the song to be an anthem for people living with Parkinson's. And she had the ingenious idea to bring other people living with Parkinson's into the project as choral singers. And I have to be honest, when I first watched it, I thought, oh my goodness, these people, like, where did they find all these people with Parkinson's that have all the same experience? Because they all sound so amazing. And as I kind of started watching some of the bios and talking to people, I realized that not everybody had experience singing. And it was quite an inspiration again to think that, at whatever stage of life you're at and whatever life's thrown at you, that you can still try new things. You can still push yourself. You can still reach up and do things you never thought possible. And I have to be honest, as a young person, I always wanted to be a rock star, but I couldn't sing, and I couldn't imagine stepping up and doing the things as we've done them. And I'm so excited and honored to be here today and to kind of walk us through this process. The process that I've read is that Martha reached out to these other folks that she knew, and again, some had musical experience and some without, and she invited them to join the recording. And so now, without further ado, let's meet all the members of Martha Johnson and Company and hear a little bit about each of them and their roles in Slow Emotion.
Hi, I'm Martha Johnson, singer and songwriter with the band Martha and the Muffins. I was diagnosed with Parkinson's in the year 2000. Over the 24 years, I've remained active in music and in life. I co-wrote the song Slow Emotion with Fabio Dwyer and Mark Gane. I also recorded and produced it. I had a lot of fun doing this. I'm happy to be sharing it today with you.
Hi, my name is Mark Gane. I'm with the band Martha and the Muffins, and I was a co-songwriter of Slow Motion along with Martha Johnson and Fabio Dwyer. I also helped Martha produce and record the song. We also incorporated several singers who have Parkinson's as a choir, which turned out really, really well. Martha and I are both very happy with the way this whole thing turned out. And we hope that you enjoy the story of how all of this came about.
Hello everyone, my name is Alfonso Fasano. I'm a neurologist, a Parkinson's disease expert. I'm professor of neurology at the University of Toronto, co-director for the surgical program of movement disorders at Toronto Western Hospital in Toronto. And it's been an absolute pleasure to be part of this project with Martha Johnson and Company, and particularly with a patient of mine, Fabio, a great guitar player, and also the partnership with Parkinson Canada has been instrumental in putting together a documentary that has described how Slow Emotion came to light. This was when I thought that I met so many great musicians in my life, and some of them suffering from Parkinson's, but the disease didn't stop what they were doing. And therefore, knowing about Martha and Fabio and knowing how amazing they are as humans, but also as professionals in the music industry, I thought it would be good for them to meet. And then from this meeting that we had over a year and a half ago, the idea of writing a song that they did came, and I had the pleasure not only of introducing Martha and Fabio, but also to playing a little part as a keyboard player in the recording of the song. Music has been always a passion of mine ever since I was a kid, and it's been great to combine my passion for music, my passion for patients, and my activity as a Parkinson's disease expert. So I hope that you all will enjoy the webinar and listening to Slow Emotion. Thank you.
Hi, I'm Fabio Dwyer. I'm a professional musician. I have been living with Parkinson's for 6 years now, and I co-wrote the song Slow Emotion with Martha and Mark, and I also played guitar and bass on the recording. Thank you.
My name is Brian Anthony, and I'm a party, having been diagnosed with Parkinson's disease some 4 years ago. More recently, I also became, along with 4 other parties, a backup vocalist in the recording of the song Slow Emotion. I also took part in the making of the documentary about the making of this sound recording. My involvement in this project has given me a great sense of engagement and much happiness as a result. I mention all this by way of example to illustrate what I believe to be the case, that one can have Parkinson's disease, as I do, and you'll still find joy in life, as I do, every day.
Hi, I'm Peter Armstrong, a Toronto man living with Parkinson's. And when I got that diagnosis 12 years ago, I did not take it well. Part of me went into total denial about it. My symptoms didn't show much, so I pretended I didn't have it, just moved on. But in private, I was obsessed with the disease and trying to keep track of every little move it made, I thought it made. And it really interfered with my life, that obsession. It really put me off kilter. And there was some recovery. I hang out a lot in the 12-step recovery community, and I had a spiritual backing and friends and program to help me get out of that jam of thinking poorly. I'm in the community choir called Singing with Parkinson's. Paula Wolfson, the conductress, came and asked me one day, said, Martha called and she wants some backup singers. I raced for the phone. I'd never sung professionally or on a stage. I didn't care. Raced for the phone. Next thing I know, I'm in Martha's basement doing some singing and getting some tests. Then next thing I know, we're at a recording studio, fabulous joint over on Eastern Avenue, and we produced this gorgeous song, which so tenderly and so rivetingly draws attention to some of the worst aspects of the disease, but still, as I can say today, how we can have a good life, even with Parkinson's. I wake up in the morning and each morning I check for a pulse. When I find a pulse, I'm pretty encouraged. I hope this song does lots for Parkinson's, and through Parkinson's Canada, through Martha, everybody else involved. I hope it will raise awareness and helps us battle this disease.
Hi, my name is Ross Breitup. I am 57 years old. I live in Toronto with my wife and 16-year-old stepson. I also have 2 daughters, 21 and 19, who are away at university right now. I was diagnosed with young onset Parkinson's in 2001 at the age of 34, which is before I actually had kids. I first noticed it when I was playing guitar because I couldn't manage to wrap my hands around the neck of the guitar the way I used to. I couldn't play chords that were once easy for me. I was halfway through my teaching career when I had to take a medical leave of absence in 2012 because of the advance of the Parkinson's. But in that same year, I underwent DBS, deep brain stimulation surgery at Toronto Western Hospital. It's been a game changer for me. My tremors are gone, the dystonia in my feet are gone, but I still have some gait and balance problems, fairly substantial gait and balance problems, as well as some sleeping issues and other issues. From 2012 to 2020, I sang in a community choir. Turns out singing is very good therapy for Parkinson's, using your diaphragm to project your voice and keeping a smile on your face. In 2018, I joined a rock steady boxing group on the recommendation of my cousin, who's a doctor. It's there that I met a wonderful group of folks who are committed to moving together every morning. It's also how I met Martha and Mark. Which brings us to slow motion. When I heard the first version of slow motion, it really struck a chord with me. The whole notion of slow motion is wonderful, I think, because I've felt over the 23 years I've been managing this thing, the importance of slowing down. Whether it be fascination, the tiny little fast steps that can lead to falls, or the words tumbling out of my mouth, I have to take a deep breath and let slow motion take over. So when Martha and Mark invited me to join, I jumped at the opportunity to sing backups with a handful of other people with Parkinson's. We're living in slow motion. That's the truth. And one last note, they gave us some hard words to sing. La 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 la.
My name is Sonia Mather, a family physician and Parkinson's advocate living just outside of Toronto. I'm also a Parkinson's patient, having been diagnosed at the age of 28, which is over 25 years ago. I no longer am in clinical practice, but instead devote my time to advocacy work, education, and research. Parkinson's disease is challenging in so many ways. This progressive disease impacts quality of life so significantly. But one of the blessings I feel that this experience has brought me is the amazing and inspiring people that I have met, those that I would likely have never crossed paths with had it not been for PD. People like Martha and Mark, friends that I met years ago and whose talent, perseverance, and attitude are truly inspirational. I've always been a big fan of their music and admired their creativity. So when Martha approached me to join her in her latest creation, I was grateful, surprised, but excited. I did warn her that although I had some experience, I'm a total amateur, and made her promise to cut me if I didn't measure up. Our time in the music studio with Martha, Mark, the talented group that did the recording, and the illustrious group of other backup singers with Parkinson's was truly special and memorable. And the end product, I feel, is magical, or one could say, emotional. I was so happy to be part of it. Thank you.
Hi, I'm Carol Patterson, and I've had Parkinson's a long, long time. Like pop star Martha, I was well known back in the day, at least in the TV industry. Under my previous name of Carol Betts, I was perhaps the world's first camerawoman for TV news. With my 28-pound camera, I traveled the world interviewing celebrities, recording countless car races, World Cup ski competitions, and hockey games. But in the mid-'80s, I was clobbered while filming a World Cup downhill. I'm convinced that brought on Parkinson's a year later. I lost my sense of smell. That's the first sign. I joined the first rock-steady boxing program launched in Canada, where I met Martha. Now, as hobbies, I sing with a world-class choir that has twice performed at Carnegie Hall, and I've revisited my days as a teenage cello virtuoso. Believe it or not, music and boxing complement each other. They have slowed down the relentless progress of this despicable disease. Both are fabulous therapies. I was honored when Martha called me to join her backup singers on Slow Emotion. That day in the studio was great fun.
So now that you've met Martha and company, it's time to hear the fantastic song. So sit back, relax, and enjoy. And you know what? The lyrics will be on the screen for you to follow along. This is Slow Emotion.
I can see that look in your eyes. Empathy, not sympathy, that's where we want to be. Take get slow, and then you'll know how to be kind, how to free your mind. That's where we wanna be. I'm living in slow motion now. I'm moving in slow motion now. Where we wanna be. I'm moving in slow motion now. I'm moving in slow motion now. La 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 la. I'm like a wave on the ocean, perpetual motion, but what's the rush? Forget the crush of it all. The sounds of pounding in my ears erase my fears. No rain, steam, or speed. That's where we wanna be. I'm moving in slow motion now. I'm moving in slow motion. Where we wanna be. I'm moving in slow motion now. I'm moving in slow motion. Where we wanna be.
Wow, that is awesome. And I caught the la la la's there that we were talking about, so that was fantastic. What an amazing song! That is just amazing. Um, wow. Okay, well, you know what? I'm excited. We're gonna unpack this a little bit. We're gonna kind of go around the table and kind of find out more about the process and why we're doing the things we're doing. And you know what? I think I'll start with Dr. Fasano first. So, Dr. Fasano, I understand this all started with a Post-it note. Can you tell us more about that?
Yeah, I still remember the day I wrote it down and put it in front of my computer because I was speaking with a patient who used to be a guitar player, and then because of the problems caused by Parkinson's, he had to play bass and then keyboard and then just background vocal, and then eventually could not play and sing in his band anymore. And I promised them that I will do something to raise awareness on the effect of the disease on musicians, and now actually the disease itself can become an opportunity. That was one of the messages, I guess, that this song is giving everybody, that life is not over after a diagnosis, and it's time for you to roll up your sleeves and find purposes, new actions, and new ways to be creative, even in the case of musicians. And again, because of my interest in music over the years, I had a sort of an idea of all the musicians I know in Toronto, and the one also suffering from Parkinson's. And of course, immediately I thought of Martha, I thought of Fabio. And actually, Fabio and I met many years before, even before he was diagnosed. We used to play in the same band. And then we lost touch. And a few years later, he was in the waiting room to be seen by me, not as a musician, as a friend, but as a doctor, following people with Parkinson's. And that's why I thought about him. And I'm really grateful that it was a long journey, but we went very far together. And it's really very, very fulfilling for me to see what Martha, Mark, Fabio, and all the people, the amazing people involved in this project managed to do. Really, really great story.
Absolutely. And so, Martha and Mark, so when Dr. Fabio kind of reached out to you and suggested this project, what were your initial thoughts?
I think I would thought of it as a challenge because I didn't know what I was going to do with the song, but I did have a title quite soon. Slow Motion. I had that title of was the perfect project to suit it, and I think I always liked to write a song, so it was just an opportunity to write another song with a purpose, a set purpose that would help more than just myself, but hopefully help out the full community.
And did you have any hesitations or any concerns about it?
Not really. I just wanted to do the one song to see how that went, to see how Fabio and I worked together, because I had never met him before. When we met at the Only Cafe, we all hit it off fine, and we went our separate ways, and we tried writing a song with a purpose. I wanted to write something anthemic, that would rouse people, bring them to a positive place. And Fabio wrote a song as well, and he sent it to me, and we worked the two songs together to make the one song, and then Mark and I worked on the lyrics.
Amazing. That's amazing. So Fabio, as a musician living with Parkinson's, how did working on a song from the very beginning affect your creative process? And what was it like working with Mark and Martha?
Hi. It's interesting that happened the other way around, actually, how my process interfere with the song, not the song with my process, because I had to develop a process. As soon as I couldn't play guitar anymore, I had a period of 3 years that I really couldn't make any discernible sound on the instrument. And then I started to rely on the computer to write songs. I would just put the whole chart there, opposed to like just grabbing the guitar, writing the guitar part, the lyrics or whatever, and that was it. I started now to focus on expand the arrangement in my head, think about what other instruments were going to play, what's going to be the bass part, the drum part. And then as soon as I wrote the idea that became part of Slow Motion, I jumped on the computer like instinctively. I had the guitar, I could play again, but I went to the computer and I ended up like writing a little bit of the bass, a little bit of the rhythm groove, and the bass turned out being the bass part that we use in the recording. I ended up like recording the bass myself. So that was an interesting process. Also because both Alfonso and Mark, they had much more like use of synthesizers in their music than I did. Mine was really, really acoustic. And once I started to work with the computer, it became easier for me to express my ideas in a normal environment with Mark and Alfonso. Like the record that I sent, there was a lot of keyboard, so it's interesting how my new process of composition changed my whole approach to express myself as a musician. Now I can do both. That's great.
That's
and
awesome.
working with Martha and Mark was a delightful experience. They're super stress-free, they're super kind, and they have different experience in music than I have, a lot of experience in music. So I sucked a little bit of their experience there, picked it up on their brains, and learned a lot about the recording and some techniques that they developed over the years. It was really truly an inspiration to see Martha after all these years of Farsi still holding on. I have Farsi for only 6 years. She like sets a whole example for me for my future.
Wow, that's amazing. So you could adapt your style. I mean, there wasn't synthesizers in Echo Beach, was there? I mean, come on. That's amazing.
No, there wasn't. No, I think that was the Oregon through.
Well, you would remember better than I.
Yeah, no synths on Echo Beach.
So Interesting process. So, and Martha, you mentioned it earlier as well. So, and I'm intrigued by this. So you kind of both you met, you talked about it, and then you went your separate ways, and you both wrote a song, like, and then you kind of came back and put it together. Is that right?
Yes, that's right. It's an unusual way to write a song, because you're usually in the same room together.
Wow.
But the part that Fabio wrote was the chorus stood out to me a lot. The chorus was very melodic and suited the lyrics I was writing as well. So it came together perfectly.
Amazing. That's amazing. Now, I also noticed that you don't mention Parkinson's in the song. Is there a reason behind that decision, or?
Yeah, I wanted it to not be filled with cliches, and we can do it, and let's do it together, and and all that stuff, because it's always said that way. I wanted it to be sort of a poetic approach and more metaphoric.
And I think, just to jump in here, that from a lyric point of view, it's more about the interior sense of having Parkinson's. I mean,
Yeah.
I'm correct about that?
Yeah.
But it's an interior thing. And I think, judging by the song's the response to the song, that people with Parkinson's, I seem to relate to that. It's about quietude, and we could actually all use a lot more of that.
Slow me down.
Yeah, in a sense, even though this was written for, from the standpoint of having Parkinson's, for Martha, I think the song could apply to everybody. Just slow down.
Absolutely. When I was diagnosed at 40, like 14 years ago, and it was go, 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 go. And the one thing that it taught me, and again, it's a reminder to me to stop, slow down, take a deep breath, and then start enjoying the moments, right? And the moments I have. So I think that's like absolutely amazing. And, I've also heard you mention that you kind of wanted this song to be an anthem for people with Parkinson's. And can you explain what that means to you, like that anthem behind that?
Well, musically, I think there are certain songs like, trying to think of it now.
Mm-hmm.
Hey Jude, or something like that. They do have a sound. The sound it gets to people's emotions right away, and I want it to be something that people associated with Parkinson's, but not in a negative way, in a very positive way. And the anthem is just to have the Parkinson's community to have a song that said, "This is who we are. We're not going away, but take us seriously and help us when we need help, and we're just people."
Absolutely. Absolutely. And so when and how did you get the idea to include the chorus of people from the Parkinson community? And how did you find them?
I think I have that all the time. At least I wanted it to be a group effort. I wanted to show what you can do creatively. Even though you have Parkinson's, you don't have to give up everything in your life. You might have to give up some things. And but I found it very difficult to find the people who could sing on the song. And I had to go to different places, and I managed to get five wonderful people though. And we made the 5 sound like 50.
Well, it's beautiful, and I must have missed the phone call. So next time I'll be for sure that.
Can you share a bit about what your vision was for including Parkinson Canada in the project? And how do you see this partnership benefiting the Parkinson's community and the public?
Well, the thing was that I had 2 elements to consider. I had my musical involvement with Martha and Mark, and then I had met Karen, as she mentioned in her comments, through my boxing activities. And these are 2 sets of people that I like and whose work I respected and continue to respect. And I thought, I had a brainwave. I thought maybe, just maybe, there are some areas for cooperation and collaboration here, some synergies, if you will. So with Martha and Mark's permission, I got an MP3 version of the song Slow Emotion sent over to Karen, who jumped on it immediately and said, when can we all get together? And so I arranged for a breakfast meeting at my place with Karen and Mark and Martha and Scott. And I got some lethal croissant from a wonderful cafe from across the street. And I think it's the croissant that formed the gel that brought everybody together. But very quickly, it became clear that we had liftoff, that people could see some important areas of cooperation. And it just went on and on from there. And I think this is the kind of thing that we should be exploring in the future. There's a great way of telling a human interest story that puts a human face on Parkinson's, and that enables Parkinson Canada to reach out to the broader community, not just us Parkies, but the broader community as well. And it also gets music like the Slow Emotion recording out into the slipstream as well. I think there's an opportunity here for us to explore more joint forms of collaboration. And I quite frankly look forward to it, because I don't know what I'm going to do with myself after this project.
Awesome. Thank you, Brian. Okay, Carol. So here I've been saying, all these people without, any experience and singing and stuff. And then I realized that, you've performed at Carnegie Hall. So, I think as a singer and as a cellist, did I say that right? And you paint. So how was this experience different for you?
It was much more personal. At first I thought, as a TV producer, I have my own studio, and it was interesting to see the recording studio more focused on music. And then I suddenly got hit with emotion, because the people around me had Parkinson's, and I always sort of felt alone. And I had met some through the boxing program, Rock Steady, and we were sort of the first group in Canada to take it on. And that's how I met Martha, and she became my friend. But when there we were gathered, ready to record this fabulous song, I just couldn't believe how wonderful it is. I suddenly got hit with this emotion that, it would really, really, I don't know, it's different. It's people speaking from the heart, and how, yes, of course, I haven't slowed down, but I need to follow this advice, I suppose. But it was that there are other amazing people out there, and that we have to fight this problem. I don't know if I want to call it a disease, but Parkinson's is a real problem to survive, and it really affected me. I wanted to cry.
That's awesome, Carol. And I can honestly say, just as a listener and observer, that realness and that heart is evident through the whole song, and it resonates. So you can feel that when you listen to it. And I think that's amazing. And I think it's hard to not be touched by something like that and this project. And so your inspiration as well, and hope to the community. So thank you for that. That's awesome. Ross. Okay. So Ross, I know that you were in a community choir for many years. And so what was it like for you to be involved in this project, and knowing that it was not only with people with PD, but about living with PD? So what was that like for you?
Yeah. When I was first diagnosed, the only one who was able to give me a little bit of the truth was a doctor friend of mine who said, your life is going to be different than from what you expected, basically. It's going to be different from what you expected. And that's true. And I got busy having kids, and now they're off to university. So my PD's off to university basically. So it's been quite a roller coaster. I've tried different avenues of therapy. I've been on a yoga mat. I've been on a boxing situation, and also sing. I sang in a choir. My mother was a singer, and she said try choir because it's she knew of the Mississauga Community Choir, and so I auditioned for that and got in, and that was great because not only the contact with folks, but also the singing itself was good for Parkinson's. And then my cousin, as I said, my American cousin, John Gillespie, he's a doctor as well. He said to me, you should try boxing. It'll work. It works really well. It's supposed to be wonderful for Parkinson's, and you'll meet some nice people. And sure enough, it worked out well. And so what was the question again? It was about
No, that was good. You answered it completely. That I think that was fantastic. And it was great. It was just, how was that experience? So that was wonderful. Yeah. And Peter, did you have any singing experience before you got on this project? And what was it? What was your initial reaction when you first were asked to join the project? And you have to unmute your button there, Peter, don't forget.
In grade 8, I sang in the triple trio. I sang at the Kiwanis Festival. That was the only time I've ever performed with my voice going. But I've had a ball and gotten great therapeutic value out of Paula Wolfson's choir, Singing with Parkinson's. And so I wanted to, when Paula told me about this opportunity, I thought, I'm going for it. Maybe I can help somebody, might help me. And so, yeah, as I said, I ran for the phone, and I found myself in Mark and Martha in their basement, got the okay, showed up at a state-of-the-art recording studio. Oh my God, I just couldn't believe what had happened to me. And we had such good fun. And, I was really interested in the engineering too. The engineering was really quite superbly mastered. So yeah, that's my one and only. It's my international singing career has been launched, and I think it's finished as well.
Peter, that's amazing. And Sonia, what about yourself? Did you have any singing background? I really love the fact that what you said that you made them promise that if it wasn't good that you'd be cut. Did I hear that properly?
I was giving them an easy way out, essentially. But I'm fairly comfortable at speaking at sort of in public, but singing is not so much. I do have some musical background. I played the piano, ukulele, sitar when I was younger, but not as an adult, not so much. And secondly, I'm not much of a risk taker. I like my comfort zone. I like staying in that comfort zone. But, one thing that this disease teaches you is that you have to live in the moment, right? Because it's a progressive neurodegenerative disease. You really don't know what tomorrow is going to bring or what it's going to be like. So you need to take advantages of those opportunities that present themselves to you. So it was a really great experience. I'm glad I took the chance. I'm glad I sort of went out of my comfort zone because it was really lovely, lovely experience working with everybody and seeing a different side of life that I had not been exposed to before, and it was really fabulous.
That's awesome. Well, thank you for doing that. That's that's also it's inspirational, right? When stepping out of your comfort zone and showing people that. Sonia, let me ask you this while we're talking. So, what's the one thing? And I'm going to ask everybody this question, and I'm going to go around, and maybe we can do it. And if you can answer this in a minute or less, but what's the one thing that you'd like people with Parkinson's and their families to take away from this?
I think the one thing I would like people to know is that you really have to focus on today. I mean, you have to let go of the fear of your future in order to begin living in your present. Fear is paralyzing, and that's an emotion that will keep you mired in your negativity and in your problems and really prevents you from moving forward with life. So that's what I would say, try and live for today and take advantages of those opportunities that come your way.
Love that. Thank you. Brian, what is that one thing that you would like people to take away from this experience?
I agree with Sonia's comments that one should live for the moment. There's no point in dwelling on the past. That's gone, and there's no point in dwelling on the future because we don't know what the future will hold in store for us. So I think seizing the day, as the carpe diem, as the expression has it, living in the moment and for the moment, and squeezing as much joy out of every day as you possibly can is very important. And there's a great poem, I believe, by Andrew Marvell, in which he says, "Gather ye rosebuds while ye may." In other words, do live for the moment and in the moment.
That. Dr. Fasano, what's that one thing that you would like people with Parkinson's or family to take away from this?
I can go back to one thing that once a person living with Parkinson told me, and it happened to be a neurologist. I've been doing this for many years. Started seeing Parkinson's patients ever since I was a student in medicine. And what this man told me is something I've seen over and over in other people. And he told me that when he was a neurologist without being forced to be slower, he used to be a worse doctor. And now that because of Parkinson's, he could be he had to strategize, has to be slow because he had to. He could actually think better. He could be even better at diagnosing people because he would be listening more. Overall, all I'm saying is that it is a disease, it is a problem, no question, but it's also an opportunity. And it's an opportunity to find your own way and use it to your own advantage, which is what makes us human. So taking a problem and making it an opportunity for growth.
Love that. Thank you, Doctor. Carol, 1 minute or less. What's the one thing that you want people
The doctor said it very well. I find that you have to focus on what you can do, not what you can't do. I carried a 28-pound camera for years. I used to be 6 feet tall, and I skied with it and World Cups filming. And I went from that to trying a tricycle even because I couldn't ride a bike all of a sudden, and being paralyzed by the fact that I couldn't handle it. I couldn't turn. The brain was translating things differently, but I can walk, and I have to walk on it, and so I do. I walk miles every day, and that's helped stave off some of the worst symptoms. And singing in a choir, of course, has helped too. But still, you will find yourself walking on uneven pavement, and it's only like that much higher, and it seems this much higher because the brain is telling you something different, and you have to live with that, and you just have to sort of laugh at it, that this is a new challenge. And you try and explain it to your friends too. And your friends are very important at this stage. And to be open about your Parkinson's too, so people will be educated that we're all not like Michael J. Fox. Everybody has a different way of dealing with Parkinson's, but it's a change in reality almost. It's a real challenge, and the singing really helps you. So, it's different to our symptoms, but you do lose your voice if you're not careful. So the singing helps you with the enunciation, of course, with the feeling of community too, that you can sing with normal people.
Hey, you're normal. Awesome. Thank you, Carol. I really appreciate that. Fabio, what's that one thing that you want people to take away from this?
One line only. Don't let Parkinson kill your dreams.
Right on. Right on. That one, look at that, right to the point. Oh, amazing. I love that. Don't let it kill your dreams. Peter, what's one thing you'd like people to take away?
Oh, all of the above. Don't think small. Don't think small because you feel like you're withdrawn into yourself. Think big. You can think big. You can dream big. I turned 75 a couple of months ago, and 75th year has been one of the most amazing of my life.
I love that. I heard you just got married, so did I. So look at that. There's still
There
hope
you
for
go.
all of us, right? That's amazing. Thank you, Peter. Ross, what's that one thing?
I also just got married, so it's. I also
You
just
also
got
what?
married. I also just got married, so.
Look at that. Look at that. And you're all in my top row. All three of us just got married. So look at, there is life after diagnosis. I love it.
What I would say to take away from it is to breathe and to keep walking and keep swimming and keep whatever you're doing. Just keep on doing it and be creative and open to new things.
Love that.
And live with a sense of whimsy, you know?
Yeah. Oh my gosh, it's fantastic. Martha and Mark. One thing.
I was going to say what Ross just said. Stay engaged and involved in things, even things you thought you would never do. Try them out. You might be surprised.
And I would say gratitude. We live in a great country in spite of its challenges. 24/7, there are people like Dr. Fasano all over the world working towards at least slowing this down or curing it. We have an amazing number of friends here. And as people have said, you know, there's people we would have never known if it hadn't been for this diagnosis. And, you know, just a wonderful group of people over the years that we've met. So you have to be thankful for what you have, you know, and in context with what's going on, unfortunately, in a lot of parts of the world. Love that. Love that. Donna?
All right. Well, thank you so much, Bryce. We have some additional questions that were submitted by our audience members. So the first one or two, they're for you, Dr. Fasano. Someone has asked, how does involvement in music affect someone's brain if they have Parkinson's? And how does music help?
Yeah, music is an incredible motor act, but it's not just motor. It involves cognition and, more importantly, emotions. It's really a great exercise for the body and the mind where everything comes together. It's not just the way you move, but how you feel. And it's been shown by studies, actually, that when a musician plays music or listens to music, as opposed to people who are not in the musical field, the whole brain lights up. With imaging. So it's really an exercise for the body and the mind, and clearly, and it gives you joy. And we know that as humans do well what gives us joy. A lot of people don't want to do physiotherapy because it's boring to them. And my suggestion to them is always do the one thing that you like doing, because you will do it more and you will do it better. So if a musician is out there listening and they still are trying to have a connection with their instrument, I will say, don't let it go, just continue. Fabio is an incredible example of that, because he went back to play the guitar after DBS and is as good as he was before Parkinson's. Sometimes I make fun of him and I say he's actually even better now than when we played together. So it's just a great exercise, and it's also fun, which is important.
Wonderful, thank you. Someone has a question for Martha. What were your first symptoms? I know it was in the documentary, but for those who haven't seen it yet, I guess they're curious about what were your first symptoms that twigged you something was different.
The first one was, symptom was sense of smell, like Carol said. We were out in the country and we went by a farm, and there was the manure smell. Our daughter and Mark said, "Oh, that's terrible." And I couldn't smell it at all. And other things were just great fatigue. I would try to get up the stairs, and it took me a long time to get upstairs, and I was really weak. So things like that, and dragging my foot.
Great, thank you. So this is a question for, I guess, Martha and Mark and Fabian. Do you have any tips for when you're doing performances to help keep the Parkinson's symptoms so that they're not affecting your performance? Maybe Martha and Mark first.
Is that well? We can talk about the studio approach, because Martha's voice isn't as strong as it used to be, so we developed some techniques that help boost the sound of her voice in the studio. So when we're recording, for instance, we'll double track or triple track. And in one case of a song we did called Summer of Song, we actually tracked her voice 22 times. And it made a very large, cloudy, beautiful sound. Also, you know, as anyone PD knows, the timing of your meds is critically important. So we time, you know, we try and get Martha's peak periods while we're recording. And we also did that when we were recording Fabio's guitar and bass, because as Fabio will probably say, you know, he would be on his own time, and then we do several takes, and then he might go, you know, I think that's, I gotta, you know,
hit the peak.
I hit the peak. Yeah, I hit the peak. And so you have to be mindful of that. And when we recorded the choir, Ray Dillard, who was sort of our choir master, who's a very experienced producer, gave a little pep talk to all the singers beforehand, said, look at anything you need in terms of timing, if you need a chair to sit down, that sort of thing, that all went into the recording of the song. And I'm sure Fabio has stuff to add to that too.
Mm-hmm. Yes, my case was kind of weird because before DBS was one thing and after DBS was another different thing. After DBS, before DBS, I just kept practicing the more I could. My right hand was gone. I couldn't really do anything, but I could keep going with my left hand. So I kept practicing. And whenever I had DBS, now I can use both hands again. So I just would recommend, after Mark said a lot of the points already, just to emphasize the importance of being relaxed to play. We have so many problems with Parkinson's, like stiffness in our muscles. And if you're stiff, you can't play. So first, before even thinking about playing, think about what you can do to get your muscles relaxed, your mind calm, and then you can start to play. To jump trying to play right away, it's not the best way to do.
Yeah, and I guess that advice is actually found in the song Slow Emotion, about slowing down, taking your time. That's really great advice. Last question, and someone asked it in terms of the musicians, but it really could be a question for anyone about how they felt about their ability to do things that they've enjoyed and that give their life meaning and purpose. They asked, as musicians, do you ever feel discouraged about having Parkinson's and the way it would affect your ability to play? So if you're not a musician, you know, you can maybe answer that question, how having that diagnosis affected your outlook on being able to do the things that you love. So let's start with Fabio, and then Mark and Martha, and then we'll go to the non-musicians from the performance.
Well, I think that there is a difference between being a musician and being able to play a musical instrument. I found out that you can be a musician even when you can't play the instrument. Let's say somebody, a piano player, a normal person without Parkinson, they break their wrist or their hand, they still have the music in them. So you have to find different ways to express his music. For me, it was through composing and arranging and writing music on the computer, using the computer. So each one may be like playing a different instrument if you can't really perform well on that instrument. So there are limitations, but there are ways to dodge, like ways to work around it, finding different ways to express through music, not necessarily being focused only on your original instrument.
Yes. Yes, and Parkinson's made me realize that instead of being mad at myself for giving up the cello when I was 14, and they, you know, I was fabulous at it, but it wasn't cool, and stop being mad at myself. And so what I did was I started playing the cello again. And Parkinson showed me that luckily it was my right hand that was affected, and that's only the bow, and I could still do fingering. And I could also do songs like the theme from the Titanic on the cello, which sounded fabulous, and Yesterday by the Beatles, instead of having to do the constant classical pieces that I had to do as a 14-year-old. So it sort of made me realize that no matter what the obstacle, no matter, I joke about the Parkinson's dance that you do, you can find a way to sort of express yourself no matter what, and keep that the music will keep you happy, and hopefully slow emotion will affect normal people as well as us.
That's a great perspective, Carol. How about you, Martha?
I think you have to find something that speaks to you. For me, it's music, and I had to adapt my music. I couldn't do the live thing anymore, but I really enjoy working with some of these singer-songwriters, younger ones, who give me a lot of happiness being creative with other people. Because when you play live, you're with a band and everything. It's great. But Parkinson's, working in the studio, usually working with people as well. So stay connected, and through those connections, you may find the thing that you would love to do.
Wonderful.
That just quickly, that adaptation seems to be the word, and that applies to not only musicians or other creative people, but everybody. And it seems to work. We come by it as creative people naturally. If you go, okay, here's something that's not working, you move around it, and you have all these strategies. But that will work with everybody in all walks of life. You have to give yourself permission to go, okay, I've reached this wall, but I can actually go around it. There's always a way around the wall.
It's sad that I want to thank Fasano for starting this whole thing. Thanks, we're all here because of him.
Absolutely. Is there anyone who hasn't had a chance to chime in here about perhaps how your perspective changed about your ability to do things? We've just got another minute or so a brief answer would be great if you wanted to chime in. Ross,
yeah,
you unmuted?
Yes. Just that Bryce was talking about swagger before we started this, and I found that my walking rhythm is 96 beats per minute. So I use music to inspire me, and I have a playlist on my phone of 96 beats per minute songs, and I keep walking, and I try to walk with a little bit of swagger. When people, laugh and chuckle a little bit, it helps.
Wonderful.
So you are using this phrase of "find your swagger."
Well, the rhythm of the music is 96 beats per minute. That's my rhythm of my walking, so it helps me to maintain that walking.
Great. Is there anyone else who wants to chime in who hasn't had a chance to yet before we finish up? No? All right. Well, that's all the time we have for the questions today. Thank you, Martha and company, for sharing your story of empowerment through music. Your dedication to the Parkinson's community brings hope to all those living with Parkinson's and their care partners that you can still pursue your dreams and try new things after a diagnosis. Watch your email inboxes for our follow-up email that will include links to a recording of the webinar, the music video, and to the documentary. If you'd like to learn more about Parkinson's Awareness Month and how you can get involved, visit parkinson.ca/PAM. I hope you'll join us at our next webinar, Voice, Communication, and Parkinson's, taking place on Wednesday, May 15th at 2 p.m. Eastern Time. Watch your email inboxes in early May for our e-newsletter, which will include more information about the webinar and the registration link. On behalf of all of us at Parkinson Canada, I'd like to thank you for joining us, and I hope you enjoy the rest of your day. See you next month.
Thanks, guys. You guys rock.